He's getting to go wreath making on Sunday. Yeah, he's going to make his own Christmas wreath. Don't know what else I'm going to have him do. He'll walk the dog.
You can watch
He might
it.
go up a hill, I don't know.
Do something with the kids. Watch football.
They'll know what to give him back. Watch football match. Oh, I'm sick of it.
Did you watch the?
It's never off. He's constantly. He's watching one and then he's checking on the phone the scores of the other one at the same time. So he's like, oh yeah, he's got his chart today. Chart. He's got a predictions chart and then he's got a maths chart and he's comparing them. Just keeps fighting the rugby's on.
Right, shall we start, everybody? Can we have quiet at the back? And Gail, can you please be quiet? Thank you. Anytime. I'd like to thank you all for making your way across to Carlisle. Some have travelled far, some have travelled not so far. I'm just grateful to see you all. It really is great that we're now meeting live as such. I know we've met live before, but I still can't get over the last 2.5 years or so. So it's really good to see everybody. Before we kick off, a bit of housekeeping. The bit I know is we've got toilets behind the screen here. In the event of fire, if you make your way down the stairs, I don't know what's going to happen if there's a fire on the stairs, but if you've got windows you can jump out of. But down the stairs, and there's exits front and back of the building. So that's us. Anything else I should be aware of?
No, just assemble in the car park at the back.
Assemble at the car park at the back. Okay. I'd like to thank Burnett's for hosting us this afternoon and providing the best bacon sandwiches I've had in years. And coming from a vegetarian vegan household, it's absolute bliss. You don't know. I do enjoy the vegetarian meals, but you know, there's so many lentil loaves and chickpea curries you can have. So we're going to go straight into this. We're going to have a presentation from A Chance for Life, Louise Chance and Christy Blaine, and we're talking about owl, barn and therapeutic rehabilitation in Cumbria. I'm quite interested in the new 7 employees of Chance for Life and hearing about those. And before...
The white ones.
You'll get there, yeah.
I think I haven't got any more stuff.
But before we go into this, I'd just like to thank you all for not turning up with Christmas jumpers on, apart from Ash, who sat in the corner doing our IT. If you feel the need to jingle his jumper, feel free.
Said you do that.
All ruined it once, I think.
Over to Christy and Louise.
Thank you. Right, are you doing the buttons or am I doing the buttons?
I don't. You do the button.
Oh, nobody wants the buttons. Nobody wants control of the
You
buttons.
do the button.
Right.
Can you all see that, or do we? I'm just
Make sure
wondering.
you're not too close to that. So
Live.
this is
Oh, I'm
we're
not.
live.
Exactly behind the podium.
We're live. We don't want
Just
everybody to see the
stay there.
head.
Perfect.
And not to touch that.
Don't press any buttons apart from that click.
See, as soon as you say don't press something, there is an urge.
You want to do it.
There is an urge. Thanks, Nabif, for letting us present today. We really appreciate it. And thanks, everybody, for coming. I echo what Alistair said. It's just so lovely to see everybody and touch everybody and just hear stories. And it's just so good. So thanks. Really appreciate the support to Nabif and for all the speakers today. So Christy and I are going to talk to you, not a huge presentation because we're still in phase 1 of this project, but this is A Chance for Life's new venture. So Albarn, which the acronym is Onward with Life. So next slide, please.
Oh, she says, what's it? This is a problem. Why are we not working? Am I supposed to aim it somewhere?
No, it's just me. Need to click there first.
Hey! So actually, this has been quite a big part of mine and my boyfriend's life for a while. So I actually bought it in 2013. So it is a barn, and there were various stages to the demolition and building of this barn. So yes, I bought it in 2013. It had no utilities at all, apart from some water and lots of running water. So at great expense, don't ever install electricity to a place because it's tens and tens of thousands. At great expense, we finally got the electricity. We had various architects. It is actually in the national park, so of course you have to go through double lots of planning. We put the building work out to tender, and finally the work commenced in 2018. And we'll show you, I think now is a map to show you where it is. No, it's not.
We've got some nice pictures.
Oh, we've got some nice pictures.
This is the new staff that Alistair was doing.
I was thinking new stuff. So we have some sheep already. But yes, essentially we've got 6 acres. It's actually on a 7-acre site, but those are the 6 acres which I got my first hay off this year, 35 bales of hay, which I was very, very pleased about. And that's the barn looking at the front. So essentially, it's got a main area. It was a barn that we couldn't extend or do anything more, but they did allow me. I saw it on a Grand Designs, and I was able to go up by putting what we call this celestial window at the top, which gave us the ability to put it in a second floor. So essentially, we've got a main building and then a smaller bit to the side. And Christy will go on a little bit more to tell you what the facilities are.
So location that Louise was just saying, so this is kind of us from the office at Penrith at the minute at A to point B. So you're heading towards Keswick, about 6 miles, and you're just about a mile off the main road. So it's from Penrith about 7 miles, Keswick about 12, up to Carlisle it's about 26 miles, and down to Kendal it's about 40. So they can kind of get to us from all angles if you like. So, okay, so we're looking at this project in phases, okay, because we have between us a million gazillion ideas, and we'll have to start somewhere. So basically, as you've seen the building as it stands at the moment, we'll go on to have a look at some pictures, but at the moment it is almost complete. It's a fully renovated barn that meets all the health and safety requirements of a commercial building. So as you come in, we have a gorgeous big main space, which is going to be used as a bit of kind of a communal space. It's going to be used as a bit of therapy space, a bit of a group area. We've got an absolutely fantastic wheelchair accessible lift installed in there. We've got an all singing, all dancing full wet room that is absolutely fantastic and a massive asset to the area generally. And then we've also adapted an absolutely gorgeous, really nice modern kitchen for thinking about loads of different client abilities in mind. So internally we've got a lot. Downstairs we've also got a huge wood workshop that's going to have a bit of scope to come in time. And we also have just a meeting space that can be used kind of in a generic manner as well. Outside there is obviously a huge raft of things that could happen because the space is massive. So at the moment polytunnel is en route.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a wheelchair accessible polytunnel, quite a big one.
Yes.
And as you've seen, we've got some sheep. So we're looking at animal husbandry. So we've got some ideas of some other animals that are coming down in the pipeline, and we're just kind of finishing the plans for all the access in and out of the building and in and out of the polytunnel, and we're going to be popping in some raised beds and things there as well that clients are going to be able to go for. So there's lots of future phases and ideas. We're kind of going to go with this as a first phase.
Yep.
And lead on from there. So this is just to give you a little bit of an idea. So we've got some of the photos of the wet room. So we've got an absolutely fantastic changing table. We've got a full ceiling track hoist. We've got a really good space. I don't think the photos really do the space justice, to be perfectly honest. This was just us having a bit of a staff tryout to get some photos. Then we've got the kitchen. We've got some brilliant high-low surfaces. We've got the high-low hob in the sink area. We've really thought about the kind of different clients that we have at the minute and what their needs and abilities might be. We've got some of the drop-down cupboards and things. So there's going to be so much scope. There's going to be scope for people to come and do loads of different activities from a therapeutic perspective, but you know, from an assessment perspective as well, that this can be used as a bit of an assessment kitchen. It can be used for when the clients are attending, that they can help prepare each other's lunch and things like that. And we just really wanted to be an accessible space. And then this is just to give you an idea of the lift that we've had installed as well. Lovely Helen from the office that kindly was being a model alongside me. So you can see there's still a couple of finishing touches in the background, but that's access to the main room just behind Helen in that end photo, and it's a lovely, lovely big space, a really cosy space as well, and the acoustics are actually really quite good in it as well. So that just kind of gives you a little bit of an idea internally of kind of what we've got going on.
So I note when Christy, she keeps on saying phase one, and that's very much to rein me in with the ideas. No, in fairness, we sat down and we just went, and then we're like, no, okay, let's just, because it does need planning out, and we have done a lot of planning, but as you can appreciate, the last couple of years and building a barn and cost of materials and trades who never turn up, I'm sure we have plastered the plumber somewhere in the building because he came and I've never seen him since, and he left his tools and all sorts of things. So yeah, so it has been really challenging, and that has changed the cost of things, and we'll talk at the end about how we're going to sort of price the service out, but it has been challenging, and we are really keen to push on with this, and we're looking at completion sort of spring next year, sort of Aprilish, God willing. So yeah, what will we be doing? What will inform our service? As you know, Christy and I are both OTs through and through. Love it, eat, breathe it, and it just informs me as a person, and how I approach business generally, really, to be honest. But I think, although we do occupational therapy within a chance of life moment, although we do neurophysio within a chance of life and neurocare, what Albarn, I think, will very much give us the opportunity to do is take it that one step further, to look into what underpins occupational therapy, looking at activity analysis, really breaking down some of those activities into longer term goals. So in the States, as you know, case management started in the States, and I know it's an insurance-led industry, and I know you can't compare with the UK and all those sorts of things, but it does inform our practice, and I look very closely at America and Canada, and Europe, but particularly America and Canada, because some stuff does work, and how they evidence their work for the insurance industry is really important for us as clinicians to keep on thinking about that. How are we evidencing that? And something like this, we're going to have to be really careful how we evidence it, because maybe to some insurers or to some people it might seem like a bit of a jolly. So it's really important that we think about what underpins it and how we're going to evidence that. And in the States, they have a profession called therapeutic recreation. And I mean, in the UK, we have physio and we have OT, and we have art therapy, music therapy. In the States, they actually have a dedicated profession to what they call lifelong planning. And this is what I'm really hoping for Albarn, is that it will be built into people's lives for the longer term. It's about quality of life. It's about accessing the countryside, accessing these things, but it's underpinned by therapy and by that therapeutic approach and by risk assessment. Everybody who knows me knows I'm a positive risk taker. You have to be when you're in business, otherwise you wouldn't get anywhere. But I'm like that with our clients, and we do great stuff with our clients. We risk assess, but it's about, it's about giving people those opportunities. And that's what we want to do at Albarn. We need some more money, but we want to get the environment safe so that people, for example, can try out the wheelchairs, the trampers, in a safe environment with their support workers. This is not just about the client as well. This is about working with support workers, training and giving them the confidence and the skills to be ambitious for their clients, to push their clients, and to feel confident in what they're doing. So that is informing our practice. And it will be led by a team. Now, at the moment, the clinicians I have within A Chance of Life are neurophysios and OTs. We have nurses as well, but all our nurses are over in the northeast. But they definitely inform our practice in terms of our medication and some of the procedures, and they do our training. But I'm looking at Albarn very much being led with the team that we've got, or a new person, and it will be OT and PT led. We're looking at it being individually tailored. Although we'll have groups, each person will have their own aims within that group, and we can assess, we can plan, implement, and then we will evaluate. And I want the client. Some of this is going to be really challenging and new to some of our clients, and I want the client at the heart. We all say we want at the heart, but it's really important that we keep the client at the heart of that and articulate what they want to do, and think of it over several years as opposed to 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. I want some longevity to this, and our price point will be so that we can achieve that, and it will be accessible to as many people as that we can accommodate.
I think when we're talking about the phases as well, I think our clients are actually going to probably quite heavily influence how fast we move to certain phases of what's kind of added in that maybe we've not thought about once we've kick-started phase 1.
Yeah.
So kind of where do we fit in then? So looking back at the pictures and the services that we mentioned originally, so thinking about kind of internally to the building, obviously a range of therapy assessment generally as part of the process. So we can do various things in the kitchen, we can look at cognitive assessment. We did do a little pilot project a couple of years back. I don't know if anybody knew the company Compass at the time, who were based in Dumfries.
We did an Nabif talk on it at Sunbeams.
It was a while ago.
Yeah.
We had a lot of clients kind of from the north, from Carlisle, going across, and clients from Dumfries and Galloway, and we did a lot of work with them, a heavy bit of that on the kind of cognitive education side. Sensory integration, we have one very, very skilled member of staff with sensory integration as well, looking at some upper limb function, strength and endurance, and various equipment assessment, and we're very lucky now that we're going to have a lot of that on site as well, which is really beneficial. Group work in many shapes and forms that may take, dependent on the client base that attends, and then we've got obviously a vast range of activities that we can look at for outside, so the gardening side of things, horticulture things. The animal side will grow. We're excited that we have sheep in lamb. So, there's going to be lots of excitement to come. We're all coming to work with our wellies for the foreseeable.
Lou's lambing this Christmas.
Lou's wants a lamb, yeah. But again, we all know, and it's highly regarded, all the benefits of kind of being outside, being in the outdoors with nature. And we have an awful lot of our clients who love animals, who have their own animals. And yeah, full consideration of everybody's rehab journey. So again, we might have clients that are, that have had an accident fairly recently. We might have had clients that have been out of rehab generally for quite a long time, and everybody's going to be at a different stage in their journey. So the purpose is to tailor individual programs like we would any other therapy program, but have them at the centre really.
And yeah, so just picking up about sort of the business model. Please chip in, Lucy, if you want to. Lucy's my head of finance, so we've got a lot of work to do in the spring, because like I say, the numbers have been changing all the time. And Lucy, God love her, has got the attitude. She said, "Let's just get it done. Let's just get it done, and then we'll look at it again." So bless her, she's not pushing me, saying, "Well, what can you do?" So yeah, it's going to be a social enterprise model, and I'm learning about social enterprises, but essentially, whatever we make, I don't think we'll be making very much for a while, but we are going to invest that back in. We do that at a Chance of Life already, but this is a model that we want, that is sustainable, that has longevity, that will be there when I'm not there, that will just will carry on, and it has a strong social and environmental purpose. Sustainability has always been really important to me, both the environment wise and a business model wise, and we were a bit ahead of our time, 12 years ago, when all the staff had company cars. They had hybrid cars and things. Obviously now it's all electric and things, but Albarn does have ground source heating. The solar array was just going to cost too much at that stage, but that might be something that we look at to the future in different phases. But I definitely want it to be sustainable, and it's going to have that message. We've said it's going to be individual to the client. And Christy and I were thinking sort of what different shapes and sizes of what we could offer. And I mean, you were talking about Compass.
And again, it's tailoring it to the client's needs, what the client can manage as well. You know, and it might be something that's a graded up approach. It might be they start with an hourly session, they grade it up to a half day. It completely depends on the person.
Yeah, we are going to be limited by size. You know, we can't immediately have 20 people all in the building, but I think we'll settle down and we'll get to know if what works. You know, and the noise levels, and so there will be. So with the polytunnel and things, I'm anticipating there's going to be a shipping container outside, so that they'll for storage and all those sorts of things, but tea breaks and things, so you won't always need everybody inside. Anybody who knows the Growing Well project and what's happening at Sizer Barn, and what's the one in Carlisle, Andrew, the farm, Allenby.
Houghton.
Is it Houghton?
Angleby, yeah.
Susan Angleby, yeah, she does a farm, a community farm sort of base model and things. But Growing Well, for example, have got funding. I mean, they're a charity, but Growing Well are working with the Westman Group, and they just put planning in for their polytunnels and things. That's very mental health based. But you know, the different phases we're looking at are social prescribing. There is money coming through for things like that, but it's in drips and drabs. And again, we've got to think about our capacity and what we can offer, which is why we're very much breaking it down into phases. But potentially we could offer a full day, half day, or hourly sessions. I mean, and like I said, the cost will be, I'm afraid, when Lucy and I sit down and we look at our overheads. I mean, thankfully, we're trying to keep the utilities as low as we can because we've got the ground source, so it's a nice warm building. But it is fully internet serviced and everything like that, and IT, so it's all run through our IT provider and things, so, which will be the good thing because people can come in and have an office space and it'll be running up and running, you know. So yeah, we're going to have to sit down and crunch the figures a bit more, but this is not a service that's going to be thousands of pounds a week. We're talking hundreds of pounds, not even hundreds. You know, we really want to make this as accessible as we can.
I think the thing that we maybe skimmed over before as well for phase one, that it will be an adult service that will be kind of kickstarted with. There is so much scope, but initially it's going to be an adult-led service. My heart will continually lie with paediatrics, and I've said that to me so many times. The scope for like after-school clubs, holiday clubs, we can do this, we can do that, and there's loads of different things we can do. We can get external people in, and we can run groups. We've got our links with North and South. Come to a headway as well, that we'd love to,
and Sunbeams as well,
and Sunbeams to invite them to do various different things and just really enjoy the space. But yeah, phase one will be kind of kickstarted as an adult service initially. So it's obviously very early days. We're not ready to open the doors yet. You will get an invite in the new year when we are ready to get everybody there and want everybody to come and have a look around and bring your wellies. But current inquiries, if you've got any queries, if you're thinking about a particular client, or you just want to dig a bit deeper, or you have any ideas, please share them, direct them to me, or give a ring to the office. Like Louise said, we're looking at the spring. It is just, you know, snagging odds and ends, finishing off to we've got our disabled car parking spaces going in, we've got the access getting completed outside. So open events will be next on the agenda, which we're very excited about, and Claire, wherever she is in the ether out there, will be having all that sorted out. We will obviously let everybody know in the new year what the referrals process is going to be when we're a bit clearer on the costs, timescales and numbers generally, what we're probably going to start with. So yes, has anybody got any questions?
How does it sound? You're our first trial group. But seriously, I'm really open. We're open to. Jill's seen it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Is that making sense to you? Because you've been there, you've stood in that building.
It's just such an amazing area where it is. You know, you talking about the essence of Alvar.
That's the word, the essence.
It's
yeah.
beautiful, and I think it will organically
Yeah.
end up being
Yes.
something really, really special.
Yeah.
I think it sounds very exciting. You've got sheep, Louise.
I know,
You've been talking about the sheep for ages.
I know. I know. They're from Aberdeen.
Scottish sheep. Scottish
They're
contingent have taken over.
they're rare breed. So again, it's about sort of they're Oxford Down sheep, and people who know me know I've had pigs. We will be having pigs again, but I just have not got the time at the moment to look after the pigs. But yes, the sheep are there. That we're in partnership with a friend of mine, which is great. But yeah, we went for 7, came back with 8, and we'll have 18 apparently by January. That's how sheep work apparently.
Is there any scope in terms of doing some vocational work as well? Because
Yeah.
you mentioned obviously.
When you say vocation, what do you mean? What's
well,
the word?
just thinking about the sort of farming community in the Lake District.
Yeah.
I've got clients who've obviously been farmers,
Sure.
been injured,
Yeah,
during,
sure.
during their
Yeah.
work, and wanted to obviously return back to some kind of work
Yeah.
in the future. And again, obviously given the setup, it would
Yeah.
need people with
Well, so where we are, we've got deer and Dexter next door to us. So we're surrounded by deer and
And there's alpacas up the road.
and there's alpacas up the road. So interestingly enough, and James Reedbanks is just down the road, and he came up the other day and had a little chat. And I think there are some people around. There's a lot of entrepreneurs in Cumbria following the foot and mouth. It's quite interesting when you start digging around. But the nearby farm was sold last year and to a family from Kendal, and they've got 300 acres, and they are looking at developing a community type farm. So at the back of my mind, that is something a couple of years down the road where I'm thinking, that might be a link that we have, and I think people would be very receptive if they understood that how people would be supported and where the risk would lie and who they can go to, rather than like it's not like just an apprenticeship, off you go. But Christy worked very closely with a young man from a farming community with Andrew, and I remember doing his INA and going up to the farm with you, and it was really challenging to actually practice those skills, those farming skills, in a positive but safe way, in using the telehandler, managing cattle, driving the tractor, all those things which, I lived in North Wales all my life, and I know farming. I lost 2 very, very dear friends when I was young. They were in a grain silo, and I know personally how tragedy and how difficult farming life is. But at the moment, we don't seem to have a mechanism to facilitating. So I suppose the answer would be yes, not immediately, but I think I bet we could find some people, that we could work with closely.
I mean, there's obviously a lot of farming charities as well.
Yeah.
Link in with them, and obviously the Columbia Community Foundation, who I'm sure will be interested in the project as well.
Thanks, Paul.
And
We'll
this
hold
is where
that
I
thought.
think it'll just organically grow, to be honest, won't it? Because but like I say, we're starting with phase 1. We've got ideas for the next few, but when we start thinking about clients, or clients start getting interested, that's where we're going to probably go in different directions.
It's a shame we lost Newton Rig, because at the back of my mind, when Newton Rig was still going, I was thinking, Newton Rig, and then unfortunately, we've still got a farm, but it is going to be individual contacts now that we make. So, any more questions or any more comments? No, I've taken enough of your time. Thanks so much, everyone. I really appreciate you listening to us. Thank you.
Didn't break it.
Didn't break it. Thanks for not breaking the clicker. So I just thought when you were saying all this, I just thought Field of Dreams came into my mind, and I just thought, if you build it, they will come. So there we go. With regards to sheep, if ever you want an education on sheep, if you just watch Clarkson's Farm, well, he's a prat, but so it's very funny. And sheep are just the bane of his life. Okay, thank you very much. That was wonderful. Great stuff. Right, in a similar vein, we're going to have Claire Appleton from Calvert Reconnections, and she's looking at the Calvert model of outdoor rehabilitation. Claire.
Just bring your slides up.
All right, thank you. Hi everyone. So my name's Claire Appleton. I'm Head of Service at Calvert Reconnections based in Keswick in Cumbria. Just a little bit about myself whilst the slides are coming up. I'm an occupational therapist by background, 20 odd years in the NHS. I can safely say that I pinch myself every day that I come into work. Just again, similar to Louise, and being an OT and being able to offer this type of service is something that I think we've all strived to do, but had external influences that have restricted that. So I feel that this service now, it is what it says on the tin really. It's rehab without boundaries, and hopefully once I explain this a little bit more you'll understand that. So Calvert Reconnection, so we opened in June 21 after 2 false starts following COVID. We've had our ups and downs. Obviously setting up a brand new service is hard enough, but to do that during a pandemic proved even more challenging. But what we have seen is amazing outcomes for our clients already, and we are learning as we go, and we strive to improve our service based on participant outcomes and feedback. We CQC registered. We've had a mock inspection where we came out as good as an overall rating, and hats off to the team because we were also nominated for Personal Injury Rehab Provider of the Year, and I think to achieve both of them in 18 months is outstanding from the team. We are part of the Calvert Trust, so we're part of the Lake District Calvert Trust, but we are our own specific acquired brain injury rehab unit. So we access all of the Calvert Trust facilities, but it's the message I want to get out today is we are not holidays, short breaks, we are acquired brain injury rehab. So the centre itself is based just on the very outskirts of Keswick. I think again, actually it was quite convenient to follow on from Louise, but I think again as occupational therapists and as people that specialise in ABI, the environment is so important, and I think we've got something very unique where everything we do is based in the outdoors. We have Latrick on our doorstep. We're a Grade 2 listed building. William Wordsworth actually lived in Calvert Reconnections at some point a long time ago. But we also do have a lot of other facilities via the Calvert Trust, including the hydrotherapy pool, the climbing wall, the high ropes. But our main focus for rehab is out there in the big wide world, in the great outdoors. So we have an interdisciplinary team, so we've trained up all our staff to have some outdoor activity competencies, but again we're clinically led, so we have a specialist MDT of neurophysio OT, we have neuropsychology, clinical psychology, speech and language. We've just recruited a positive behavioural practitioner as well. And that's, again, as we evolve, we look at the skills in our team. What we do find is that the majority of our referrals have been young males who physically have recovered quite well but have a lot of cognitive and behavioural difficulties. And I think that's a service that we really think we can get into these people and support them and actually bring people through that journey. And often these clients have gone possibly through more traditional settings or have disengaged with community rehab. And again, you know, as an OT myself, we absolutely know that community rehab is key, but there are some clients that just won't engage or are not ready for that community experience, and this is where our residential inpatient approach works. So as well as our clinical team, all our rehab coaches have clinical experience, but they're also qualified outdoor activity instructors. So again, when we're talking about that positive risk taking, we've actually got a core group of staff that there isn't any boundaries. We will make this work. We have the skills in the team to be able to challenge our participants. So the sort of blended approach to our team is really valuable, and again, the reason we're getting these amazing outcomes are this blend of skills in the team. This is the centre itself, so again, we're trying to make it as non-clinical as possible. It's homely. Again, feedback we get from clients, case managers, families, it's the feel of the place. It's again somewhere that there isn't anywhere else like this. We have a communal area, we work as a team, the participants are very much part of that team. We eat together, we socialise together. The participants are very much involved in the planning and organising of activities. If we do have clients that need more specific equipment or adaptations, we do bring that in. So we have 10 beds, 2 of which are independent living flats, but we can adapt all the rooms for people with more physical impairment or cognitive impairment. But where possible, we try and make it as homely and as non-clinical as possible. I think this is a key slide. I think experiencing this for ourselves, it is that shared experience. So we have so many stories that we could tell, but I actually I went paragliding with one of our clients, and I'd received my voucher from my husband, who I'm sure has got some decent life insurance coming up, because it's not the first sort of present I've had like that. But actually I was chatting to one of the clients about it, and he was like, I'd love to do that, let's do it together. And when we were up on the top of the mountain about to jump off, he said, this is the first time I haven't got a brain injury. We're on a level, you're not head of service, you're not an occupational therapist. In fact, I'm supporting you. Yeah. And this is exactly what it's all about. It's not doing to these people, it's them being part of it and on an equal with us. And actually, just seeing the appreciation, the enjoyment, and actually the sense of achievement that these clients get. And if they can achieve jumping off the side of a mountain, or reaching a summit of a mountain, what else can they achieve? And that's when you see the turning point from, this is what's happening now, but this is where my head is now looking for the future. So if I can do this, what's stopping me thinking about independent living, my own flat, a job? And we just see that turning point and that hook. So again, when we're looking at engaging these young guys, especially that maybe just haven't engaged, it could be just one activity that hooks them. And actually the most successful stories we've got are clients that have had no interest in that outdoor activities, and they're the ones that we've seen the most success. So person-centred goals, again, everything we do is bespoke and individual to that client. It's clinically led with the outdoor activity instructors to build a rehab programme that the participant is very much involved in. And that's just an example of what a week's programme can look like. Again, majority of it is based outside. Our psychologists never do a sit-in face-to-face in a room. Every session is out going for a walk or doing whatever activity that might be. And that's the same for all the clinical team. So all the activities have the clinicians present. So if the physio is working on specific goals, they will talk through with the activity instructors to how that rock climbing session needs to go. So it's all working towards that transition into more functional rehab. Again, I think because the client groups that we get, especially with the cognitive executive functioning, this area is really important. Again, it's all the transitional functional rehab. So you might have a client that's leading the morning meeting, planning a session. working out what they need to take, obviously that positive risk taking of going up a mountain, what do we need to have with us. That's all transitioned into then more ADL planning and organisation. But again, this seems to be a really key way of engaging these people in trying to structure. Again, clients that come to us have very little purpose or structure, and planning this activity for the whole team just gives them more fulfilment in engaging in that specific area. So this is Scott. Scott came to us last year. His accident was in 2018. When Scott came to us, he was in, as he'd say it, a very dark place. He wasn't engaging with any community rehab. He had zero self-esteem, very low confidence, and thankfully his case manager thought about Calvert Reconnections as a placement. And if we just play this video, if it works, is it on there?
Not meant to be a video.
Yeah, I think if you click on it.
Is this the link you're on about? Or?
If you click on the.
Okay.
Just at the bottom.
There.
Yeah.
This is Scott's story in his stay at Calvert Reconnections.
A serious motorcycle accident involving my bike and a fire engine, and I lost. So yeah, bleed on the brain, you know, I'm still here, and look at what I'm doing. My mental health up a lot, and yeah, it's really good. I'm enjoying it.
And did you expect you'd be able to do this sort of thing?
No, but I've proved myself wrong. It's turned my life upside down, it really has, in a good way, obviously, and yeah, I just feel fitter mentally and physically, you know, with all the activities. It's great. Come on, Max. Trot. Best thing I've ever done, come here. I'll just go home and live a better life.
As the physio team, we work closely on his physiotherapy goals around balance, mobility, strength and his cardiovascular fitness. These we integrated into his activities such as fell walking, fishing, kayaking and aquatic therapy with the underwater treadmill. The fun and enjoyment that Scott got from these activities gave him a whole new purpose and focus. While the activities were carefully selected and focused towards his goals, they were also meaningful and they were rewarding to him. And so with the support and the guidance from our team, he developed the motivation and the skills to turn his days around to be productive. He started following a healthy structure and a routine for the first time since his accident. He started getting up in the mornings to get out and about, and he started engaging in activities of daily living and taking responsibility for medication and meals and self-care as well. Before this, he needed family support with most aspects of his daily life. With the newfound skills and structure and routine and motivation, Scott moved on from Calvert Reconnections to live independently in his own flat. And he now takes responsibility for his own day-to-day routine, and he cooks for himself and he manages his own household tasks. The positive, enabling and active approach has enabled Scott to break down any barriers and to reach his potential and for him to be the best that he can be. And he can now see the future and the clear direction and the path to where he wants to be.
There were so many people that came to our door that tell a very different and very similar story to Scott. Again, the challenges with ADL. So the other concept that we see is that again we are trying to focus on that what happens after reconnections, but that empathy and that ability to support each other, which again case managers have said I've never seen that in these people, but you put them together and it goes back to that shared experience. But obviously everything that we do is working towards that functional ADL approach. So that's just one of our independent living flats. So again, the transition from reconnections to the community is really important. So some clients will come into the centre and then transition into the flat, and then the next step is to transition back home. Others come straight into the assessment flats to see, for case managers basically, to have that 24-hour assessment with the whole plan to move back into the community. We are very lucky being part of the Calvert Trust that we have many businesses and support from especially the Keswick area. So we are able to offer a lot of varied vocational opportunities. We've had a guy working at Theatre by the Lake. He was actually front of house. I think it was a record how many programmes he actually sold. But they've offered supporting with lighting, makeup, even performance. We've obviously got the stables on site where, again, it's that vocational opportunity. So we might have clients in our service who are getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning, going to feed the horses as part of their vocational placement, coming back for breakfast and then going back to help muck out later on. And again, the stables has been key in that engagement. So I remember one young guy come in who wouldn't make eye contact. His mum had to speak for him. He wasn't coming to reconnections. He hasn't got a brain injury. He doesn't need rehab. We took him to see the horses, and for the first time he left his mum's side. He went to stroke a horse. He then was asking the stables manager lots of questions. He came back to the front door of reconnections and said, "When do I start?" And I think having, again, like what you guys are saying, having the animals on site, that therapeutic element as well as the vocation has been a real sort of game changer for us. Outcome measurement, as we all know, is really important. We do have 3 standard outcome measures that we do with all clients that come through, as well as our individual discipline outcome measures. This is just one example, really. The IROC, it's a self-assessment one, so again it's important because it's coming from a participant's point of view. But you can see for the first clients that came through, the middle line was where the average was of them starting, and on discharge you can see that green line is a lot more rounded, and it's that holistic outcome. 100% of our participants reported improvement in hope for the future, and I think that's one that we take as really key for them to leave with hope, because again, when you see them on arrival, that's such a key message and so important to what we're doing. Again, what happens after Calvert Reconnections, we, as part of our team, we include the case manager and the community team. It's so important that we have that continuous communication with the people that are on the outside looking after these clients. And where we do work in sort of quite a unique way, where we do try and transition again into the community. So one of our first guys, who was from London, he actually enjoyed trap driving, like what was on Scott's video, and we found him a stables locally that did the same. He's now just been selected as one of the national disability trap drivers for England, and he came from inner city London, never seen a horse in his life. But again, we keep that hook and we take it back into the community so that the community team have something that they can then continue that level of engagement. Last case study, and then that's it from me, I promise. So this is Mark. Mark came to us earlier this year, and Mark will talk about reconnections. In fact, ideally, I would have brought him to come and talk to you today, because these are the people that need to be telling you about this service, not me. But let's play Mark's case study.
Goals and rehabs, basically, there's quite a few. Couple of large ones, couple of not so large ones. Large ones being able to deal with frustration, being able to deal with fatigue, pacing, and issues surrounding.
Sorry, I just stopped.
Is it frozen?
doing various activities, given issues with fatigue and injuries to wrists and various other issues surrounding the accident, being able to do these sort of activities whilst up here, being able to gain a little bit of fitness whilst also managing fatigue, managing pacing, and trying to apply those things that I've been able to do at Reconnections has just been fantastic, as well as all the other interesting opportunities that I've had with paragliding and kayaking, which I never thought I would ever get back into another kayak in my life. Having the expertise of all of the rehab coaches and other individuals around is just phenomenal and inspiring, really, to be able to do things that I'm able to do whilst up here, as well as being around the scenery that's here. It's just unbelievable. Like, I'm a person that's not going to quit on anything, and I try to keep going forward, and that's who I am. And I think by doing the kayaking and having the knowledge and experience around me is enabling me to be able to do some of the things that I would like to do, as well as improving my life moving forward. The challenge of getting here into Reconnections was probably the biggest challenge, dealing with the legal elements of stuff, and yes, the issue. I knew that once I got up into here and I'd seen and felt what Reconnections was about, I knew it was the right place for me. I knew it was going to improve stuff. I knew we would be challenging. I knew I wanted, and I kept saying to people that I wanted to be pushed outside of my comfort zone, and for sure, it's most certainly done that.
Thank you to everyone and to Mark.
That was Mark. So that's it really from me. Key messages really, our criteria is 17 and above, anyone with an acquired brain injury, and what I say to any referrers out there really is just pick up the phone and have that clinician discussion, because I think because we're such a unique service, it's hard to think who's right for us, but we can support you in working out which clients would really benefit from this type of service. So that's it. Thank you. Any questions? That's what it's all about. And if I could just have case studies, it's these guys need to tell you the story, not me. But I think we've had some amazing, and we still will continue to strive to get these positive case studies. So.
Claire, you're still offering sort of week-long trials and 2-week trials?
Yeah, so no, we're actually, so on average our assessment period is 4 weeks. We then have people averaging 3 to 4 months for rehab. We can do shorter assessments, we can do longer placements. So we've currently got a client that's been here for nearly 12 months. It's literally bespoke to that individual. The average stay is working out sort of 3 to 4 months. Thank you.
Well done.
Well, that was fantastic, wasn't it? And I think, suffice to say, I'm sure that both...
Go Cumbria.
Go Cumbria. I think with both presentations that we've had, I'm sure that if you have not been to see Calvary Connections or the Albarn, I'm sure visitors are welcome. Yeah, absolutely. I must get back to Calvary Connections. I haven't been there for a couple of years. So that was fantastic. Can I just ask how many OTs we got in the room? Quite a lot of OTs. Quite a scary thing, I think. Yeah, scary. Well, I'd like to introduce you to somebody who's not an OT. Neil Brownlee is going to give us an update with regards to the NHIS service. It's going to be a video update, yeah?
Yep.
Cool.
Hi everybody.
Just pause 1 second. Just pause for 1 second.
I'll pause for as many seconds as you like. I've not got any slides if this film doesn't work. I'll just tell you a wee bit about while we're getting the technology together. So I suppose going back to start of the year, one of our neurophysios was having a look through our website and went, it's a bit rubbish really, isn't it? Because it was just full of information, full of print this off, read it, which is fine, and unless your brain injury is such that you cannot process that kind of information. But also alongside that, there's a real heavy influence around information following a brain injury from professionals, from talking heads, other than people that actually know what it's like. So that kind of got us thinking, and we put a shout out to our service users. And eventually, well, after a short period of time, 6 service users and 2 family members agreed to come and take part in the film. But what they didn't really realise was that they were doing the whole shooting match, really, because what we wanted, we gave them a very, very broad spectrum of what we wanted covered. We wanted them to think about what would have helped them when they were newly injured. So if they were going to see a film that people with brain injury were talking about, what would be the sort of thing you would want to tell someone? And we wanted a message of hope, because I think, if you think of traumatic brain injury, in the initial stages, sometimes families are just hopeful that they're going to survive. Then they're hopeful that the recovery is going to progress, and then to what level, and the person with the injury himself need that hope to struggle through the dark days of rehabilitation, because it is a long slog. So that was the kind of only theme, really. They then set off and had a few groups and pulled together some ideas, and then we put this film together. What was really powerful, I think, was when we had a red carpet event for the service users and their families, when all the editing was done. And there was about half a dozen of the team were there, alongside all these families, and I was just doing a wee introduction, and I did a quick calculation, and we had about 140 years worth of neuro experience in the team, but none of us had 1 day's brain injury experience. None of us knew what it was like to have an injury. And this film, I think, because it's a representative picture of what it's like to have a brain injury, I think is pretty powerful. And it's only 8 minutes, so I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you agree that it kind of they've hit the nail on the head, I think.
I would tell them not to give up. You've got, it's very, I think a lot of people think when they've got their injury, I want to give up, I don't want to do anything anymore. But you've got to keep going, you've got to keep pushing yourself, especially if you have physical injuries. You've got to keep exercising your brain, and just don't give up.
Don't compare yourself to other people or like the person that you used to be. Just do what you can now and try and be the best person that you can be.
There'll always be changes. Maybe little ones, but you have to adapt to that. But if you are a team, act like a team, you'll definitely get through it.
You've just got to have their back and encourage them, and be hands-on, help them, support them, and have family around, and make them feel they're loved and they're wanted.
And as long as they're giving them the support, because they're still the same people. They're still family, son, husband, wife. A lot of people, because it's not a physical injury that can be seen, people think they're fine a lot of the time, people who have injuries, and they're not.
Well, my family and my friends as well, they thank me, to be honest, because I didn't have the support. Because from being what I was, and quite active, and not being able to sit up properly, not being able to walk, not being able to drive, just all independence, and you rely on people, and they got us through it.
And I apologise for the bits that aren't working out with the moods I get into.
Right.
But give us 5 minutes and I'll probably come back anyway.
What I found challenging was the low mood swings, depression, my life structure had gone. And in my case, they took my licence off me.
I used to get really irritated when people would say, oh, well, my memory's just as bad as well, it's an age thing, so you've just got to try and think, well, they don't understand. But if you lose the positivity, it's not good, so you've just got to keep going.
I'll probably get it from sitting from mine now. Busy and all sorts. And then usually sort of all out for us.
It's a minefield, and then you don't know what you're entitled to, you know, what he's entitled to, and how do you keep the family together, and you know, and then everything's left on your plate to cut the gardens, to wash the cars, to, you know, keep on track, and then visiting in hospital. And
people don't understand sort of what you've been through or the challenges that you face. It's just coming to terms that people don't know or understand and just accepting it and doing their best.
He's a strong character, and I think that's what you have to keep them where they believe.
Keep their spirits, yeah, keep their spirits up.
And they get there in the end.
You do.
Time heals, and yeah, they get better and better each day goes by.
Yeah.
And just sort of picking up the pieces of your life and trying to build something up again. Just like getting a new career and doing things, figuring out what I can't do now, and trying to make the most of it.
One thing I learned about myself is that I'm a fighter. You have to be really, it's quite easy to give up.
It's very easy to give up.
And you have your dark days, but having an amazing group around as well, like, you have to have help. You can't do it on your own.
I'm resilient. I have one hell of a lot of luck, as usual. And I'm determined to not let it hold us back.
Yeah, it was your work ethic before.
Yeah.
So you say you haven't lost that.
I've not lost it.
Not changed that part of your life.
That's there. Yeah, I'm quite impatient.
I know you are.
But I think it's just because if you still want to do things that you used to do so easily in the past, and you can't do them anymore, it's quite frustrating.
What I'm looking forward to, it's been a long road. It's just over a year since I've had my brain injury. I'm now starting to play golf. I've had to sit the driving test again, and I've passed. I'm actually getting out and about the house now, which I wasn't before, because I was pretty scared to do certain things, so I BPPV. The brain injury, North Gear brain injury, had been amazing. I've got my car licence back now. Great. And I haven't got my HGV, which I've done since I was 21 years old. It's been a bit of a slog, but I got some great news yesterday. Is that I've finally got a job. I've got an induction in July, which has made everybody's day, especially my wife.
I was always a positive person before. I've had this low, and I think I'm back to, I can help people again.
With the physio that he got and everything, and they were really, really good, and he took a lot from that.
It's nice to have, you know, now support and, you know, help along the way as well. You know, if I've got a problem, you need, you know, to pick up the phone and say, oh, this has happened today, and, you know, people are there to support you. From the head injury team, you know, they're fantastic.
You can't get through everything like
No, you can't. No.
You need people around you, and obviously, yeah, from the head injuries team, give that help and support as well. So.
I was so nervous before I came to the head injury unit. You lose all your confidence, but don't not go. You've got to go because they do pick you back up. So I definitely recommend them.
Definitely, you need their support. Amazing, amazing group.
I'm over the moon with the support I've had coming from the hospital to being able to walk in properly. Absolutely excellent.
Is my nose all right?
You look beautiful. You're stunning. Yeah,
my
makeup,
God,
you know.
you have asked for shrinking up.
And just starting to do hasn't made sense at all.
I'm not sure I can add anything to that. But what was really interesting was that some people in that film were 10 years post-injury who said they got such a lot, even then, from meeting other people with a head injury. So I guess, thinking of people who might be here from headway groups, etc., never lose sight of the amazing connection that can make for people who feel very isolated. But this is the start of many now. What we want to do now is we're wanting to get a group of service users who have, say, got fatigue issues to talk about that, a group of service users that maybe got dizziness, balance, BPPV. So this is the start of the process of us getting a number of films onto our website. And the other really exciting thing for us as a team is that in the new year, we've still got a bit of negotiation to do with our trust, but we're hoping to recruit a peer support worker, someone with a brain injury into our team to have these discussions and these interfaces with newly injured people as someone who has walked the walk. So that's the next development for us. I can disappear now because there's something else. Otherwise, I could talk all day. But thanks for the time.
Don't know about you. I had a little bit of a tear in my eye there. That was wonderful. Thank you very much. Finally, our last talk. This is from Ian Pearce of NeuroProactive, and it's an update on the developments of the NeuroProactive app, which is supporting patients and their families through the rehabilitation journey. Ian.
Thanks very much for having me today. It's always nice to come and meet people within the brain injury community. I learn a lot, which is helpful because I have no healthcare qualifications whatsoever. And I'm not a technology person either, so I'm perfectly suited to the field of health tech. I did an engineering degree at university, and then I went to work for those evil investment banks. But I tell people that I used to be a traffic warden because they're less inclined to want to hit me. And in 2017, my father had a stroke. And my response to this was to be pretty scared, to be honest. Your whole life goes 50,000 feet in the air. And what I discovered was exactly what everybody discovers in that situation as it relates to the coordination of care and the provision of care and transfer from inpatient to outpatient and struggling to deal with, what is now the new normal. But in my career in the city, I'd always relied upon technology to do simple things well. And it struck me that there was an opportunity to put an infrastructure in place which would help clinicians in their day-to-day jobs, would help patients in their ability to self-manage, and would help families become more part of that rehabilitation journey and more effective in that role of support, which obviously from my perspective was quite important. So this presentation is a sort of a rehash of a presentation that I gave to the Health Service Executive in Ireland at the beginning of October. And it obviously went down quite well because they've signed us up to deploy for the first time outside of the United Kingdom at St James's Hospital in Dublin. So we're doing something right, at least. So what is NeuroProactive? So it's a digital platform. I hate when people refer to it as an app, because to my mind an app is something that changes your face to that of a cat. and this is developed to medical device standards. So this is a proper piece of software. As I've said, it enables patient self-management, remote monitoring, and NDT working, all within the NICE guidance. The problem, of course, is that we're very good at what, we're not so good at the how, right? It can read or write to electronic patient records and hospital systems, which is, something that's reasonably unique. It's currently been deployed to 42 NHS trusts all over the UK. 5 years of research and development, 5 years of my life, in line with the NHS long-term plan, NIHR unmet needs. There are 55 unmet patient needs in acquired brain injury as defined by the National Institute for Health Research. Neuroproactive directly addresses 33 of those 55. And that's the NIHR saying that, not me, because my opinion is irrelevant. It supports multiple languages and regions. We are available in Welsh because we have to be compliant with the Welsh Language Act, and we're in 6 of the 7 health boards in Wales. And we have the ability to support research and increase patient involvement. So every member of the platform can consent to their anonymized data being contributing to research. And that was quite important, I think, because, whenever you read, a research study that's been published in the BMJ or any one of these publications, it typically says something along the lines of, we analyzed data on 52 patients, of which 36 produced usable results, and results are inconclusive and further research is required. And then somebody goes and does exactly the same thing on 51 patients about 3 months later. We are ORCA certified. So ORCA, which I believe stands for the Organization for Rating Healthcare Apps or something like that, is based in Warrington, so not a million miles away from here. They're relied upon by 90% of NHS trusts. If somebody comes along to you and says, hey, I've got an app, which I would never do because mine is a digital platform, ask them what their ORCA baseline review score is. And if they don't have one, that technology does not meet the minimum standards required for the NHS. It's as simple as that, okay? Now, some of our friends in the research community talk about innovation, and we frequently, join research and innovation together. I've yet to meet anyone in the research community who is a brilliant innovator, right? They talk about innovation at these conferences, but when you ask them, well, in your 30-year career, how many innovations have you got into the NHS and achieved widespread adoption? Well, they go, well, no, none. So I'm curious to know why they're not more focused on this in terms of information governance and compliance, because it's very important. We support 6 HCPC regulated disciplines, but also GMC registered doctors and NMC registered nurses. So 8 healthcare professional disciplines across the platform. And the whole idea is that we put everybody on the same infrastructure, whether you're an NHS clinician or a family member or a privately practicing clinician or a patient or a parent / guardian of somebody under the age of 18 or with severe cognitive impairment. Everybody's on the same platform. The patient owns their data, right? Discharge packs can be uploaded to their profile, so they will be visible to anyone who's on the patient's team. As I have been around the country many times, privately practicing clinicians tell me it's really difficult to get hold of a discharge pack, and that's just a nonsense, right? But that should be freely available for the patient. So we have a case study going on in Wales at the moment. We've been adopted by the Major Trauma Network. That covers 6 of those 7 health boards in Wales. We are integrating with electronic patient records in Wales. What's quite interesting at the moment is because we are a healthcare professional-led platform, not app, we're starting to be approached by other services outside of neuro, right? So major trauma, as the name suggests, is multiple very complex conditions. The clinical lead for MSK wants to roll this out in Wales nationally for MSK rehab. We've got, oh God, got that. We've got other services in London that are looking to acquire it outside of neuro, which is fine, right? I mean, it really, the platform depends upon the professionalism and the experience of the healthcare professionals that are on it. And we've got a simple maths problem here. In the case of neuro, we've got 12.5 million people with neurological conditions, and we've got a couple of 100,000 AHPs. The odds are stacked very heavily against provision of therapy. So the challenge is, how do we take that experience, that professionalism, and leverage the living daylights out of it to cover as many people as possible with the support of family members wherever possible. There's a research study that's going on into this adoption in Wales. It's being carried out by Cardiff University, and it's being funded by the World Economic Forum. And it will look at patient outcomes, health economics, adoption rates, usability, other stuff. It will be one of the largest studies of its kind ever in the UK. We're talking about somewhere in the region of 500 patients across multiple sites with very varying conditions. And when it is published, it will go on the WEF Research Portal website, which I believe is accessed by, I think, 2 million people around the world. So I could end up having a very, very busy 2023. The stay left, shift left strategy is something that the HSE in Ireland have come up with. And it basically means they want solutions which reduce costs, improve the quality of care, improve the clinician experience, and the patient's quality of life. This sort of thing comes up in various guises depending on who you speak to. NHS Scotland have got their thing, NHS England have got a plethora of people talking about this kind of thing. Most of them have degrees in Hungarian basket weaving and very little clinical experience, but they talk about digital transformation and AI, and things like that. There's a lot of these things going on, but you get the basic gist of where the right digital technology can help everybody. So in Ireland, St James's Hospital is our early adopter. That's pretty much the centre of excellence in Ireland, St James's, and they're the only centre in Ireland that has an electronic patient record. Everything else is paper-based. Ireland was described to be by a very senior person in NHS Wales as a digital desert the other week, and it pretty much is. So not only do we have a need for neuroproactive in Ireland, but we also have a need for an electronic patient record in Ireland. So we could end up, being both. There was several reports, but all from the UK, from Ireland, which talked about telemedicine and the perception that anybody who's over the age of 55, can't operate an iPad, right? Now, we've spent many hours putting together a user interface which is really clear, crisp, and we're finding that even people with visional impairment who are over the age of 55, can use the platform effectively. So that's great. And I just want to finish up by saying, if any of you missed out on London Fashion Week, please speak to Paul Brown. He's got all the information.
Can we ask a question?
Yeah, question.
Oh, sorry,
yeah.
Come back.
Get yourself back up here.
Sorry.
Sorry, how small a team do you work with?
How small a team?
Yes.
I've had music therapy organisations in North London that have 2 people.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I probably should have said this at the start. I'm about to announce that we've been adopted by Guys and St Thomas's community team, which is obviously a big one. We've been commissioned by, let me get this right, Mid and South Essex ICB. I'm talking to Lancashire and South Cumbria ICS. Glenys. Go on. You know, and the platform, aside from everything that it does and all of its compliance, affordability was really important, because healthcare software, to my mind, is egregiously expensive for what it is, right? Just because it's healthcare, these US companies think they can charge 20 times what they really should be charging. And what I'm finding at the moment is that I go to an NHS trust and they look at Neuroproactive and they go, wow, this can do a lot of stuff. And why then do we need these 6 different systems that cost 20 times what this costs? So finance directors are like, I'm going to look like an absolute genius, you know, because I can, you know.
So how is it all supported then?
How is it all supported?
Yeah, in terms of if it goes down or crashes.
Never goes down.
It never goes down.
Never goes down. Oh no, I mean, look, nothing's infallible, but you know, when I had a specification for what it should be, I found what I consider to be the best health tech developer in the UK, and their infrastructure. So not only did they develop the platform, but they also host it, and their infrastructure is, you know, military grade. You know, you're getting a lot of sort of ransomware attacks in the UK and all this sort of stuff, and there's been, you know, a lot of trusts that have had some real problems. A lot of them have, you know, lost patient records that they're never going to get back. Yeah, we're pretty confident that that's not going to be happening with us.
So sorry, one last thing.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to your dad.
Yeah.
And the journey, you know, whatever happened with him and everything. So you now, if you'd had this, or if he'd had this.
Yeah.
What
Look, I mean, I'm probably biased, but if I'd have had this, it would have been a hell of a lot less stressful for me. He would be in better shape, and I would have saved thousands of pounds on his rehabilitation. I'm quite sure of that. Yeah. Hey, Glenys.
Yeah, just to say well done, because I've watched you over the months developing this. You've done everything absolutely spot on. And can I urge everyone to look at the Orca website, because I won't support any app or platform unless it's been assessed by Orca.
Yeah.
And good luck with our Lancashire and South Cumbria.
They're a good bunch. We'll be all right.
We really need it to happen.
Take her with you.
Glenys, do you want a job?
Any more questions?
Thank you very much.
So just remember, one thing we can take from today, it's a digital platform, right? And not an app. Okay. In my current line of work, quite often I'm taken away from the patient and the family, and coming to these events always reminds me that it is all about the patient and the family, and the presentations we've had today have emphasised that. So thank you very much, everybody, for the talks that have been given today. And after all, we're all in this room for one reason, and it's to get the best for people with brain injury and their families. So thank you very much, everybody. Just some finishing notes. There's bits of literature lying around, which is really quite useful, so feel free to gather that. And also a date for your diary, the 28th of June 2023, which seems like a long way away. It's only 7 months away. We are having our Nabif conference at St James's Park, so it'll be the first time in 3 years? 3 years, so wow. Details will be coming out probably in the new year, so a date for your diary to keep. It only remains me to say thank you very much for coming along. Safe journey back. Avail yourself of doggy bags in the back. There's plenty of food. And thank you very much, everybody. Take care.